We have Isaiah in Nevada. Welcome to the show. You're on with Matt and Shannon.
What's up?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Hi. Today I would like to talk about spirituality and your thoughts on it. I know you guys are atheists.
Correct. What do you mean by spirituality? I guess is my first question.
That's my first question too. What do you mean by spirituality? Because for me, the word has so many different uses and so many different meanings to so many different people that it's pretty much useless. So when somebody says, "What do you think about spirituality?" I need a description of what you mean.
Like connection with what's around you, using it to understand yourself more.
I don't understand what that means. Connection to what's around me. I'm not connected to my desk, but I can touch my desk. I have other things around me.
Exactly. So you can touch a tree and
right.
I still don't know what you mean by. I'm not sure what you mean by spirituality or what you mean by in touch with things around you.
Did you just say you could touch a tree and somehow change its vibrations?
Change your mental state. Yes.
You can touch a tree and change your mental state.
Your mental state changes all the time. It's because we live in a dynamic universe, and you are constantly receiving, or constantly experiencing, and then processing that experience. I don't understand what that means for spirituality.
Well, there are different states, so you're probably not going to feel as good in a war zone as you would in a peaceful jungle.
Okay,
so you can maybe change your.
I agree. Yeah. So what the hell does Isaiah? What does that have to do with spirituality? Yes, I would probably be happier in my house than I would in Ukraine right now. But what's that have to do with spirituality?
The way you feel.
So are you just saying that, like nature gives you good feelings and and you're just attributing that experience of nature giving you good feelings as opposed to negative feelings to something that you're labeling spirituality?
Yes, but also in an objective way, not just feelings, because nature gives you everything you need. I mean, it gives you a mindset to think through certain problems and to grow and survive.
So you're saying like you're in a better mental space if you're outside in nature as opposed to inside or at a computer or in a war zone or at a mall. Being outside in nature gives you a better mental space to exist in. Is that what you're saying?
I would argue that for an individual, but perspective is different. So some people might want to stay in a house because they don't like the outside world because they had a bad experience with it.
There could be more than that.
Nature does have someone balance more. It keeps.
So do you know why some of that is?
Can't escape what you are.
So do you know why some of that is though? Like why being outside gives you this sort of feeling of, connection and peacefulness. Do you know why? Or you noticed that feeling and are just labeling it spirituality because the connection's not obvious.
You keep saying things.
No, I would say because you are nature, and so
everything is nature.
Something that you are.
Everything is nature.
Exactly.
So, but you also see. So no, you said a bunch of stuff that I'm not trying to be mean about it, but this is just the assessment. You said a bunch of stuff that's sophistry and deepities. Nature gives you everything you need. Well, correct. And so fucking what? It's not relevant. Everything is nature. Of course I get what I need from nature. I am part of nature. I'm a product of nature. And then you say, well, nature balances you. What the hell does that mean? What does balance mean? Balance me how?
Your mind state.
No, you think that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. You think when you say balance your mind state, it means something to you and it means absolutely nothing to me. So what does balancing your mind state mean to you?
Being connected with what's around you, not being aroused, not reacting and responding. And that's being more connected because rather than just going off.
I still don't know. No, I still don't know what you mean by being connected. I still don't know what you mean by balanced. So we started off with you asking what we thought about spirituality. I wanted a description of spirituality, and that led us to balance, which didn't tell me anything else. And now we get to connectedness again, and that didn't tell me anything else. Is there a way you can describe what you're talking about so that we can actually understand it? Okay.
So you think of a chair in your mind. The first person to ever create a chair created it in his mind and then built it in the physical. That's what.
Really? Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. So when somebody just sat on a log, that wasn't a chair?
Well, they had to construct it into a chair with their mind.
They didn't have to. You don't have to make a log. If you're just sitting around the campfire and you sit down on a log or a rock, that is your chair.
But how did the chair get there? It's through the human mind.
No. Wow, you're not even paying attention to what I'm saying. I'm saying that if somebody sits on a log, that log then becomes a chair. Form follows function.
That's a good point. But what if a phone, right?
Okay.
You create a phone with your mind.
Sure, there were lots of experiments and a lot of thinking done that led up to the creation of a phone. What does that have to do with spirituality? That to me is scientific progress. It has nothing to do with spirituality.
Mind is everything.
Yeah.
There's actually a book.
I wish I could hit the bong today too, but I'm actually doing a show. And when you say things like mind is everything, that's just sophistry. That's just words. Mind isn't everything. I have a mouse in front of me. That's not mind. So what you're talking about is a deepity, which means to the extent that it's true, it's absolutely trivial. And to the extent that it is profound, it is absolutely false. So when you say mind is everything, that's just not true in any context that means anything.
How about everything in your room right now? Was that not created by a human?
So what is this? How does this connect back to spirituality? I feel like we've gone off the rails a little bit. Are you saying I'm trying so much to understand. It seems as though you talked about nature and feeling connected in nature, and now you're talking about people having ideas and then enacting them in physical reality. If everything was mind, those ideas couldn't be enacted in physical reality because there would be no physical reality. There would only be mind. So that seems like a contradictory statement to me. When you're talking about feeling connected in nature, there's myriad reasons from like a neuroscience and psychological perspective why you're more like at peace, I guess, in nature. One of the things is that you're removing external distractions that are all around you, like in the room that you're talking about, that you would recognize as something that you had to do. You're taking away anxiolytic triggers that would otherwise be around you in an environment where you're like surrounded by things that you need to do, like you're cleaning or, going to work. You're removing yourself from that environment. There's also like physiological responses that we have when we're outside in nature from an evolutionary perspective that result in us having, a nucleus accumbens hit to our dopamine because, we're outside and enjoy. We're just kind of like wired through evolution to recognize and enjoy positive experiences outside. But we have such a confirmation bias that we only, when we think about outside, think about, like calm streams and sunshine and stuff. We don't think about being in the middle of a hurricane or being hunted by an animal, which wouldn't be a spiritual experience, but would simultaneously also be outside. So it doesn't fit your definition of outside. You're getting a positive confirmation bias on a hit of an idea of outside that was pleasant to you. So I guess my thoughts about spirituality are that it's context-based and there's a hindsight bias that allows us to orchestrate a certain set of circumstances where we have demonstrably and explainably peaceful experiences that we then retroactively attribute to some form of spirituality when they could otherwise be explained and are to the exclusion of other experiences that we could have in the same environment under a different set of circumstances that we then wouldn't attribute to it because they don't constitute that peaceful experience that we're attributing retroactively.
Okay.
Hello? Did he leave?
I disagree because I do think life is pretty philosophical, like death. For me, that's a new beginning. But also,
okay,
there have been studies done.
Okay, Isaiah?
Done.
Isaiah? So there's no way in hell that after Shannon gives a lengthy dissertation with facts and information like that, that any reasonable person should respond with, well, I disagree because I think life is pretty philosophical. So we're going to let you go to do some more thinking and take some other calls. Thanks.
Okie dokie. I don't know how that followed from what I said.
Life is pretty philosophical, Shannon. I don't know why you didn't consider that an obvious response.
People always appeal to nature when they're talking about spirituality. And I'm always like, yeah, but nature's pretty messy. Like you're talking from a position of privilege where you can choose to go outside in a situation that is already, going to be pleasant to you, and avoid being outside in situations that may be unpleasant or dangerous, and then attributing being outside to the positive experience because you have this selection and then hindsight bias that's causing you to have that routine built into your brain. And it seems to be ignoring myriad other data that would disprove that spiritual experiences are just simply connected to being with nature. Like nature will kill you. You live in a house. You live in a house, Isaiah. You're allowed to go. You go outside when you feel like it, not because you have to. And that's
Isaiah also had another point that he didn't get to, which was this whole thing about the Great Pyramid's location matching up exactly with the speed of light in a vacuum.
Oh dear.
We didn't quite get to that, but just Google Great Pyramid speed of light, and you'll find plenty of things debunking that nonsense. It's one thing. I get it. We're occasionally going to have to deal with stuff that you could, if your Google foo was anything greater than the weakest, you would have already had an answer. But
that's a lot to take in.